Welcome to another Word of Torah. It is Monday morning, 10 a.m. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe, like our videos. We really appreciate that. Share them with someone that you like or don't like. Why not
That's
share it with
sharing, that's
someone you don't
sending the
like?
video.
Yeah, sharing it. Share the video, and don't forget Moshe has his own website. He has his own YouTube channel. Moshe teaches. I'm sorry,
What is it? Yeah, YouTube. YouTube.com
youtube.com/.
slash
Word
Word of Torah.
Word of Torah, Torah. And now you also have an email that you can communicate directly to or harass. Go to
Yeah.
Gmail and type in mosheteaches@gmail.com. That's so simple. Don't
It's
forget,
so much
once again,
more simple than my email before. My email before, it had my first name, my middle name, my last name, and my names are all long. Abraham's with an S, and
no,
I was like, why am I making it so hard for people to be actually just
I know.
Moshe Teaches is so much easier.
Well, I'm the same way. I do design or web developing as
Mm,
my parnassah, my finances, and
mm.
somebody will say, "Okay, I've got a great URL, a
The
website
address.
address," and they will give this long, complicated, or it'll be short, but it's all letters like TBPQ543, and I'm like, "Why are you doing that? Just put
Yeah,
what you are."
yeah,
Put who you are and just make it as simple as possible so everybody can hear
yeah,
it once and know
yeah, yeah,
Moshe teaches Gmail. That's perfect. And then Word of
yeah,
Torah. I mean, come on. You
yeah.
can't. Okay, so let's get rolling. We're in
Beautiful.
the 8th chapter of the book of Genesis, around verse 6. We just left last week the um, from the window of the ark being opened, so they
Yeah.
now can peer out. My mind, I kind of chuckled last week when you said that, because in my comedic mind, I'm watching Noah attempting to look out, and all of his children are attempting to look out, and a giraffe sticks its neck out, and
Yeah.
he's like, get back. Oh, I know I have dogs that do that to me. I can't
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
what was happening on the ark. The birds are wanting to fly. I was like, everybody just stay back. Let me just look and see what we see.
Yeah.
So
And I
that's where
bet
we're
they
at.
want the fresh air as well. After 150 days with the window closed, they're going to want the fresh air as well.
Yeah, we can
With
always
the
imagine the smell. And
yeah.
now you'll know why Noah drank so hard after they
Oh
landed.
yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about
These
that later.
they've been through a lot, these guys.
Yes. Okay.
So Vayihi Miketz, and it was from the end of Arba'im Yom of 40 days. Vayiftach Noach, and Noach opened et Chalon, he opened the window, Hateva of the ark, Asher Asa, that he made.
And this is
So
40
let's go
days
forward.
after they saw the tops of the mountains.
Yeah, that's it. It's been receding, receding. We had this like stage by stage on the build. It was increasing for rain for 40 days and 40 nights,
Hmm.
and then the waters carried on increasing after that for 150 days, and then it's like coming down for 150 days,
Hmm.
and then then it was lessening and lessening for 40 days and 40 nights, and now we've got the window open. So it's been a hectic thing, and so um, Vaishalach. This is to send, just like you're going to send this video to someone that you love.
Right?
Vaishalach, and he sent et ha'orev. An orev is a crow or a raven or some sort of corvid. We found out in the recent years, the study of animal intelligence, that crows, especially New Caledonian crows, are as intelligent as chimpanzees.
Incredible. It's true.
So
Yes.
really, really smart creatures. So it's a good choice for the first one to send out.
Right.
For Erev, for Orev, sorry, a raven. The Yetse, and he went out. So this is referring to the raven going out.
I'm glad he
Yetse,
didn't send a chicken out.
yeah, that's it, in a little rubber dinghy, just like the one from Moana with the big eyes,
Right, right, right.
So for Yetse, and he went out, and then we have this phrase. It says Yetso vashov, and we discussed last week that teshuva is the root of this, and so that's to return.
Hmm.
So he's saying Yetso is going out and Shov is returning. So
Hmm.
what that's an idiom for the fact that he was going back and forward. They were watching him. He's going around everywhere. He's not finding anything. Even the smartest bird can't do anything when there's nowhere to land.
Hmm.
Add Yevoshet. Well, that's from Yevesh. And Yevesh is to dry or to wither or to become dry, dried up and be withered. So this is like when God divided the waters below heaven in the first story in Genesis, it revealed Yebosha, the dryness, which was referring to the dry land. So Yevoshet Hamayim, that the waters were to dry up, Me'al Haaretz, from on the earth. So that's what we're looking at to start with. And so he came back and forward, he went back and forth, but he wasn't successful. The waters hadn't dried yet, they were starting to dry, but he still didn't have something to do. So immediately afterwards it says, Vaishalach et hayona, and God sent the dove or the pigeon, whatever it may be, not known for its intelligence to the same degree as the raven. It just shows you don't need to be the best of the best to get chosen for a good job.
Right.
Me'ito, from with him. Lirot, to see, hakalu hamayim, to see the lessening of the waters. Now, one of our commandments in the Eser HaDivra, in the 10 statements, is we've got to kaved ha'av v'aim. We've got to honor the mother and the father.
Right.
The father and the mother. And so the word we use, kaved, is actually the same word as for something to be heavy. You know, it's the idea of, you were ever in a shop when you were a kid and you were picking something up and your mum says, is that heavy? Then it's expensive, put it back. You know, like that.
Right.
I did this association. Right. So kaved means both heavy and important. And kal means light. So kalal is to almost make light of someone, to humiliate them. So what the dove is looking for is to see if the mayim has kalu, if they have lightened me'al panei ha'adama, from on the face of the ground. Right.
Also, now, the dove is, you are sure that the dove or pigeon or whatever will return, because that's in the nature to return back to where.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My brother-in-law is a wonderful human being. He was driving up in the north. He lives in a town called Kafar Yona, which means pigeon town or dove town. It's like the village of the dove. And he saw an exterminator, because sometimes these things can be a real pest, especially if they're leaving their mark on your building or this kind of stuff. Right. So the exterminator had on his van. It is said that when peace will come, it will be marked by a dove, and that we will see these and we'll know that the time of peace has begun. Right. But until then, I'm an exterminator. I'll get rid of them.
That's funny. That's really good.
You want a guy who's got a sense of humor. Listen, we all love doves, we love peace, but you don't want them, coloring in your building. So, V'yishlach hayona, he sent the dove, me'ito, from with him, lirot hakalu hamayim, to see the lessening of the waters, me'al, from on, panei, the face of ha'adama, the ground. This is the sad bit. V'lo matzah. Now, in the previous verse, we had me'ito. There's 3 parts to that word. We have mem. This mem is short for min, which means from. Ito means with him. It's one of the ways to say with him. So when you have he, to him, you have a little vav at the end of the word, wearing a little kippah.
Right.
One of my brilliant students, Deacon, pointed out, how I remember that's him or his? I said, how? Because, he's wearing a kippah.
That's
and
really
men
cool.
wear kippot, so that's a little bloke, and there's this little hat, and there's a little nose, and they stood up looking that way. So I thought it was great.
That, by the way, is a brilliant young man.
He's a brilliant young man. Oh, I wish him every success, and I'm excited to see his success. So we named this the Deacon's Vav. So everyone in my classes knows this is a Deacon's Vav, because if you come up with a really good explanation like he did, you deserve to have the letter named after you.
That's really good. Yeah.
But in the next verse, we see matzah, which is to find, and it ends with a feminine hey, right? So if this was about someone finding who is a man or a male, it would be matzo, right? And this is matzah, her, right? So who is she in this scenario? V'lo matzah, and she didn't find. Who is she? Hayona. It's a female dove, just in case you wanted to know. So the level of detail we have from all of that time ago since the flood. And we even know that, the pigeon happens to be a girl pigeon. And we'll see that show up elsewhere because it says, Velo matzah, and she did not find, Yonah didn't, Manoach. Hang on a second, I recognize that name. Who's Noach?
Noach is the main character here.
Right, this is Noah, right? So his name means comfort or rest. When his dad named him, he said, maybe now we shall have comfort or rest from the hard work of our hands after the labor we were given.
Right.
So this is Manoach, which is turning this into a verb, turning this from a verb to rest into the noun rest, to have rest, right? So she didn't find, the Yonah didn't find rest, la kaf regla. Now a kaf is a palm, right? So kaf yad is the palm of your hand, of your arm, right? But a regel is a foot.
Whoa!
So as you can imagine,
those are some decorative socks there.
Oh, these are my dullest. I'm one of those annoying guys in your office that has the colourful socks and thinks they're really cool, and I do. So a regel is a foot, right? But a calf regel is the palm of your foot. It's the like the palm of your hand. It's the palm of your foot. So she didn't find rest, le calf regel, for the palm of her foot, and it's her foot. Because I've lost you now.
That is too funny. In no Torah video are you going to see the foot of your teacher. Okay.
Yeah,
it's just never happened. This is a historical moment, and especially with those socks.
Yeah, I should have given you a little bit of warning. Yeah.
It's tickling.
Heads up and foots down. So calf regla. Notice as well, it's her foot. So regel is a foot, and ragla is her foot. So it keeps on reiterating. This is a lady doves. Well done. She's the queen of the doves that gets to take this role. So la calf regla, to the palm of her foot. She didn't find rest for her foot.
Right.
Vatashav, a love. And again, like tshuva, teshuva is to return, right?
Right.
A love, El means to, and V, that's the deacon's vav. Now this one happens to be that this one here doesn't have a keeper on. Right. It's got some sort of weird Papua New Guinean headdress.
Okay, now you have to explain that one.
Yeah. So this is, what's happening here is,
the keeper flew off.
I'll keep my face in the middle. So what happens sometimes is some things are determined by the grammar, and sometimes they're defined by the flow of the language. So with a vav, you kind of have two options at the end. You can have it as like a deacon's vav wearing a kippah, and that'll be pronounced as an O sound. Or you can have one without his kippah on, and instead it's got this feather here is a musical cancellation. That's something about how to sing the word. So we'll just ignore that. You can have just the vav on its own, which makes a v sound, right? A love. And what's happening with this one is, it just wouldn't flow right to put an O sound after the yod. That would be Elayo. And it's not in Hebrew, it doesn't feel quite right. It feels better to say a love than elyo.
Right.
So what we like to do is we like to go from a soft sound to a hard sound. And we like to go from a hard sound to a soft sound. So the previous incarnation was me'ito, from this hard sound.
Is this generally on most Hebrew words? Here's this
it's very consistent that if there's a vav at the end, because the reason I'm telling this is right now we're using the nikudim, we're using the dots, but the time will come where we'll be so confident with our Hebrew we won't even need the dots,
right?
Because we'll have learned all these patterns, So if you're in Israel, please God, soon you'll all be in Israel, and you buy a newspaper and you're reading the Hebrew there, you won't have any dots.
Right.
It's because you don't need them. So I'm pointing out this stuff, little things around about now. Like another thing is, a long word in Hebrew is easier to read than a short word. Because if you have a great big long word like Elohim, there's only one other word in the language that looks like Elohim without the dots, and that's Elohim. And with that, you've even swapped two letters around. So you don't really mix up Elohim with any other word.
Right.
So you don't need the dots. You see it and you go, oh, I know that one.
Right.
It's the short ones where you think, well, Et is an object marker, but at means you to a woman. And there's a bunch of different. The shorter it is, there's more words it could be. So they're the tricky ones.
Yes.
But they really clarify from the context. So yeah, it's not that there's anything missing off this vav at the end. It's just that it's got a soft letter before it, so it's easier to say it with a hard sound. Right, now we're going to do some. Oh, come back. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Can you still see the slides?
No, I actually see the plans for your house.
Oh yeah, sorry. Hang on, I'm going to restore that. Somehow I minimized it. So we're going to zoom in and we're going to make some changes here. This is her doing the verb of teshuv. So what I'm going to do is, because she's doing it, when a female character does a verb in this format, you use a taf to indicate that she's female. Now, a letter at the beginning that tells you who's doing it makes it a future tense verb. So this actually should be past tense. So we're going to use this vav that has a patach vowel under it. And we're going to make it a tense flip. We're going to color it blue so that you know that she did it in the past. So shav is the root to return. Tashav means she will return. Vatashav means and she returned past tense. Right.
Gotcha.
El hateva, to the ark. Ki, because mayim al panei, water on the face of, kol haaretz, all the earth.
Right.
Okay. So let me make it full screen, a little bit bigger. Zoom in somewhat. On the face of all the earth. So we're here. So this verb is shalach, which is to send. It's a male character doing it. So instead of a taf, we use a yod. Yishlach, he will send. Vayishlach flips it into the past tense, he sent. And he sent yado. Yad is hand. And then we've got a deacon's vav wearing its little kippah, yado. So you can see how in this case, it's easier to use the soft O sound for the deacon's vav, because otherwise it'd be yadv, and that wouldn't work at all. Yado is easier in this case than yadav. So it's, he sent his hand. Now, Rod, my sage, could you do a, what's the word? What's the game when you act it out? Charades. Could you do a charades or charades version of sending your hand? Could you send your hand to me, please? Yeah, that's it. So that's what Noach did. When it says he sent his hand, the dove's coming back to the ark. He's at the window. He sends his hand. Oh, that's not an easy one to say. So what's happening here is you have the root is lekach, to take. It says yikach would be he will take. Vayikach, he took. And the hey at the end is the third person feminine. So he took her. He took the bird right out of the air. He sent his hand and took her, right? I love that phrase.
Do you realize a dove can fly a couple of 100 miles a day in 8 hours?
Wow, yeah.
So
that's interesting.
A huge territory, because essentially it appeared they were floating in the middle of the Atlantic or Pacific as we would see it today.
Yeah,
no land
around.
So it covered a long distance.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's a much bigger distance than a crow can do, right?
Correct.
That's interesting. So the first one he sent was a crow, and the crow flew around, tried to see what it could, and figured out this isn't working. I'm going back. I'm not going to waste my energy.
Right.
And the Yonah was much more obedient and hardworking and industrious, and she still didn't find land.
Correct. That's a pretty
nice.
profound thing. So think about, we don't know how long the dove was out. 1
No.
day, 2 days, 3 days, you don't know. But it needs to rest.
Yeah.
Okay, within 8 hours. So if it didn't find, or 8 to 10 hours, if it didn't find land, reasonably the dove returned within the daylight period.
Interesting. That's great. Yeah,
So
yeah.
You kind of catch science and facts with Torah and find the story.
Yeah, that's lovely. Now we have again him doing a verb, because we have the yod. The yod is he or it will do. So vei, this is vei, comes from bo. Bo, when it's a bet and an aleph,
Mm-hmm.
that means to come. If it's a bet and a vav, it's a whole other thing. But if it's spelled like this, bet aleph,
Right.
yeah, that means to come. But this is actually, you can't see that it's a hifel because you can't see the hey and the yod. But actually, this is a hifel. This is a causative verb. So rather than to come, when you cause someone else to come, you're bringing. You know, if you said, hey, the doorbell's just rung, can you go and bring them in from the front door? Then rather than bo, it would be vey, right?
Right.
So Yahweh, he will bring, Vayaveh, he brought, Otah. And again, that's the passive pronoun. So rather than saying he, which means she, it's Otah because he brought her. She's passive.
Right.
She's not doing anything. She's being brought inside.
Right.
So if you brought me inside, you'd bring Oti. That would be me. If I brought you inside, that would be Otcha. I brought you. If you and I go and get her, we're getting Otah. She's passive.
Right.
So he brought her a love to himself, El HaTeva, to the ark.
Incredible. Good stuff.
So this is interesting. We have this word Yachel, and it means to wait, to hope, to expect. There's a similar word, which is Yachal, which is to begin doing something or to twist. And I need to get to the bottom of, are these two related? But even though the root itself has a yod, I think that this particular yod, is the future tense letter that tells us who's doing it. Just like Va-Yosef, right? The yod is to say he did something. So I'm going to take this yod, I'm going to color it green to indicate that this is one of the words that's telling us who's doing it. Now, Yachel is future tense to wait or hope. He will hope. And then we have this tense flipping vav. I'll change the color of that to show that it's not an and. This is a tense flipper saying he did. He waited. Odd. Another Shivat Yamim, 7 of days. Acherim, afterwards. Achar is after. Can you hear the sirens in the background?
No, I don't.
No, okay. So yeah, it's just a bit of local color.
It also may be time for you to take your medication.
Yeah. Otherwise, some people with white coats will come. Beautiful. Oh yeah. None of this conversation is happening. I'm just sat in my flat, staring at a window, imagining you.
Imagining me and a siren going off at the same time.
Couldn't imagine anything better. So another Shivaim, another 7 of days, Acherim afterwards. Yosef. Now, who does Yosef sound like?
Sounds like patriarch.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like Joseph, right? Now, how did he get his name? I don't know if the parents of these great people always knew that they were foretelling their future. When Rachel named her son Yosef, he was her firstborn, and her sister had been having many kids before.
Oh, this is getting ready to be profound. You guys listen to this. Go ahead.
Well, she says, "Oh, God has answered my prayer for a son. Maybe he will again answer my prayer and give me another child, and my husband will love me more," which is a heartbreaking, a really sad thing to say, because he loved her so much and from the beginning before anyone else. But she feels lost and she feels abandoned, and she finally has this child. So she's saying, Anahimi Yosef, which means to add or to increase, in the hopes of another child who came, who was Benjamin. But in his lifetime, one of the most characteristic events that he did was save the lives of everyone in Egypt and everyone in the surrounding countries by gathering and adding together a pile of grain.
Right.
So on the one hand, he's named for the hope of another child, but actually it transpires that he's foreshadowing his own success in being chosen to save everybody's life through the simple act of gathering together.
Incredible.
So we can look at this.
Is not an accident either.
Oh, no. It comes up in some really interesting places. And in this case, it just simply means, the simple explanation is he again. He did something again. He added something. He added event. So Yosef shalach, and again he sent. Shalach is to send. Et hayona, the dove, min hateva, from the ark. By the way, you brought up this wonderful question last week about what is the teva. The teva seems to be a feminine word. It has a hey on the end. When she's doing a verb in the feminine with a taf. What is this teva? Well, it's also the same word as the basket that saved Moshe Rabbeinu from this crocodile-infested waters of the Nile and into the hands of the daughter of Pharaoh. So it's interesting that so much hope is carried within this box. In this story, it's the hope of the survival of the planet. And in the story of Shemot, of Exodus, it's the hope of the survival of the Jews. And so we've got to look out for that. Where else are we going to see it in the Torah? Because a lot of the time we're supposed to compare. If you see a rare word and it comes up here and it comes up here, it's called a gzeira shava, an equals, like an incidence, and you should say, well, is there anything in common between these two stories? Is there anything in common between the salvation of Noach and all of these animals, and the salvation of Moshe and all of these Jews? And yeah, there's this kernel of God intervening in this subtle way and bringing about destruction on Egypt and the salvation of the Jews, or destruction on the Rashas, the violent people of the earth, and at the same time salvation of the non-violent people who want to connect with God. So we can look at that. Beautiful. So the Yonah has gone out. She's circled around. Rod has pointed out she's capable of great distance and not getting lost. She has this ability to find where she started, even though she goes a very, very long way away. We don't know how long she's out, but presumably she has to eventually come to rest, and she's coming back to rest at the Teva. And it says, Vatavo alav. And she came back to him. If she was coming back for the ark, it would be Vatavo aleha. She came back to her, to the ark, but she's coming back to him. She's coming back to Noah, right? So what we have is that format where bo means to come, the taf means she will come, and this vav, where the petach vowel is a tense vowel that means she came. So she came, a love. El means to, and the vav at the end is a deacon's vav that means she came to him. Hayona. So that's who's doing it. First we have the verb, she came to him. Then who's doing it? Hayona, the dove. Le'et erev, in the time or to the time of evening. V'hine. Just a heads up, in our class we always pronounce it like that. Because hine means behold. So I think the proper pronunciation of hine is hine.
Yeah, right.
And also the proper pronunciation of behold in English is behold.
Yes.
If you're just saying behold, it just doesn't cut it.
No,
behold means nothing. No. Behold, my phone has been charged. Hine.
Right. I'm going to start doing that. It almost sounds like a scene from Seinfeld. Hello.
Yeah.
Right? Behold.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just feels like it's conveying it more, right?
Absolutely.
So what are we hineing? What are we beholding? Oh, so by the way, people still use hine. I just realized yesterday. I was at me and the wife were at the juice bar in the shopping mall, and someone's name was called, and I can't remember what the name was, but let's say it's Max. It definitely wasn't Max, but let's say it's Max. Max, and Max went hine. And I was like, oh, no, he said hineni. He said hineni. And I was like, wow, that's it used to be what a prophet would say to God.
Hine matov?
Oh, I don't know this.
Oh, well, we'll talk about it.
Behold the goodness?
Right.
Oh, I'll have to YouTube it after this.
It's a beautiful song.
Is it? I love it.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Which comes from Psalms.
Yeah, I will. I'll definitely look that up and
look it up.
Enjoy that. So what are we beholding? An alei, which is a leaf, right? And it's interesting because the root of this is to ascend, like aliyah. And what does a leaf do but ascend, you know?
That's good. Oh, wow.
So
that's good.
An alei zayit. And zayit is an olive. This is an olive leaf, right? So that exterminator better not come and exterminate this Yoda. This is the hope of coming out of the flood. Alei zayit, a leaf of olive, teref, taraf, which is to tear. Right. This is why
Right.
you have food which is kosher, which means the food is fit or appropriate, and you have food which is treif, which is not appropriate because it's been torn. So,
Right.
say for example, chas v'sholem, you saw an animal dead on the side of the road. It's died by injury. We're not allowed to eat that.
Correct.
That's not appropriate for the.
Nor is a Noahide permitted to eat the limb of a living animal.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. We don't want to eat by cruelty. We don't want to consume a painful death. That's just
Right.
it's not good for your soul to just be putting that in your body. You want to be like, no,
Yes.
I have an aversion to suffering.
Correct.
So an elet zait torn, as in torn off the tree, bar fiha. I like this word. What's happening here is that the letter pei or fei is actually named after a mouth. That's, in case you thought I was pronouncing it weirdly, that's a mouth like this, not a mouth like squeak squeak.
Oh,
it's a mouth.
I thought you said mouse. That's why.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
No, it's not a mouth. It's not that. It's like a mouth, like the main face hole.
Okay.
The entry port. The entry port for good kosher food.
Yeah,
and
I thought you
burgers
were
and things
saying
like
mouth with a lisp.
Yeah, no, that's. I think that must have sounded like that to me also, because I think that's why I clarified.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Something seemed not right about that. So it's, you can almost see that it's like, oh, this is the top jaw, this is the bottom jaw, and that little opening there, that's the mouth. Perfect. So the word for mouth in Hebrew is the peh.
Right.
So the fe and the pei are named after the peh. So ba fi ha, and that hey at the end is the third person feminine possessive. That's her mouth. So she has a torn off olive leaf Bafiha in her mouth. So that's a nice. I mean, she's got a beak, so it's still a mouth. I think it's a particular style of bird mouth, right?
Right.
But I'm just saying she's not some weird variation of dove that has a smiley mouth with teeth instead of a beak. She's got a beak. Let's call it that. So based on this, based on seeing her with a leaf. He's come to a conclusion. It says, Vayeda and Noach knew, Vayeda Noach, ki kalu hamayim, that the waters had lightened, me'al haaretz, from on the earth, because they'd lightened enough that the leaves of the trees were appearing.
Right.
And so from that you can tell that at least there's some place here, somewhere, that the water is no deeper than the height of a tree.
Right.
And that's hope.
And we realize an olive tree is not going to grow on top of a high mountain, so it had receded to ground level.
Very good point. Yeah. Very good point. They're very slow growing olive trees. They can grow for hundreds of years and not get very tall. If it was a cedar of Lebanon, that would go, well, we might have another year yet. Right. Yeah. But like you say, a low-lying tree that doesn't grow very fast can do a lot of its life as quite a squat tree. That's good. That's good information. Beautiful. And to use something alive as a symbol of hope, I think is very beautiful.
And also the olive and the olive oil has so much representation. In the Tanakh.
Yeah, it's holy. It's used for these holy things. Wonderful. Well, God knows how to write a book. God knows how to write a reality and a history. Yes. So wonderful.
And hopefully we are discovering. You haven't finished the verse yet, so right?
Oh no.
Did you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you did.
Noach knew that the waters had lessened from on the earth.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, the beauty about our discussions, and as we said prior to us recording, that this is elevating for both you and I.
Oh yeah.
Tremendously elevating. I will leave my office and go down and start my next part of my schedule, and I sense almost spiritual radiation, like I'm radiating with so much joy and satisfaction from our discussions. I wish that individuals who watch our classes could hear our discussions in between, because they're just as probably a bit more humorous and observational. Like
Yeah.
these are very enlightening. And so we want to encourage all you guys who have been watching us, make sure to post up, subscribe, hit
Mm,
like, and then
mm,
hit the little bell. There's a little bell down there. Add this because when we post another class, you'll get notified in
mm.
your YouTube feed. So when you go to YouTube, you'll see it right there on the front page. Don't forget, Moshe has a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Word of Torah. And also you can email Moshe at mosheteaches@gmail.com. Now, his YouTube channel has a lot of great information that we don't have here. So he
Mm.
does a lot of unique videos and observations in the text that I think you'll enjoy. Also, just want to remind you that each week, sometimes we may have a week or so that we miss, and it's because of high holy days or what's going on. Just be patient with us, and we'll always be here. So until next week at this time, we're going to say shalom. See you next week. Bye bye.
That's right. Bye.